Welcome and thank you for downloading the LouChat audiobook series, Overcoming Depression. This chapter is titled Understanding Depression, which is important if you hope to overcome the phenomenon. It is often said, you can't overcome what you don't understand. In this light, if you have chosen to overcome depression, you need an in-depth knowledge on the subject matter. Now to the question, what is depression? There have been many answers to this question, but most have failed to provide an answer that can be understood by the Cameroonian audience. That is why in Cameroon, depression is regarded as a white man thing, as will be discussed in chapter 2 of this audiobook. Normally, we all feel sad and unhappy from time to time, but there are some people who experience these feelings of sadness for long periods. What you need to understand is that depression is more than just being sad at the moment. You might be sad because it's raining outside and a Neo has cut off the lights, but that doesn't mean you're depressed. Depression is a serious condition that affects your physical and mental health over the course of time. By now, you must be wondering about the causes of depression. Again, this audiobook will provide answers based on the Cameroonian context. This is because what will render a Cameroonian depressed might not place an American citizen in the same situation. Depression is directly linked with traditional, geographical, legal, and social differences which affect individuals in different ways. The causes of depression in Cameroon can be divided into external and internal factors. External factors contribute in rendering Cameroonians depressed because we have a culture of inclusion. This means we have been trained to live and stay in groups rather than functioning as isolated individuals. The fundamental unit of this group is the family, which is an integral part of a larger group, say a village or city. Now, where does the problem arise? Living in groups means we need to provide for others and expect others to provide for us. It also means as long as we are part of a group, we need to succumb to certain rules, whether we like it or not. This brings out three problems: pressure, expectation, and fear. And these three problems are interconnected. Pressure comes from the need to provide, expectation comes from the need to acquire, and fear comes from the need to belong at all costs. Other smaller but harmful issues arise because we live in groups. These issues include unhealthy competition, jealousy, abuse, greed, and so on. These are promoted by negative members of the community, which can have disastrous effects on you. Now, let's assume you're depressed because you have no job. Imagine, if you lived on an island where everyone had a salary without working, will you be depressed? Of course not. You won't have any pressure to provide for anyone. You won't be jealous of anyone. You won't have the need to compare with anyone, and you won't be afraid of being a loser. For those of you who are thinking, I need a job to feel fulfilled, understand that fulfillment comes when there is absence of pressure, failed expectations, and fear. Because we have been taught to live in groups, most of our desires are controlled by the group or heads of groups. By definition, in Cameroon, a person is considered fulfilled when he must have fulfilled the needs of his group. To sum it up, if someone is in a constant state of pressure, having failed expectations, and always living in fear, depression sets in. Now, let's examine those internal factors that cause depression. Now that we have seen how much the Cameroonian society can influence depression, we need to look at those internal factors that do same. As earlier mentioned, because we have the society mentality, we face the three problems of pressure, expectation, and fear. You should understand that these issues affect your mindset on a daily basis and can cause internal problems. Your group puts pressure on you to provide. This pressure is transferred to you as you feel the need not to disappoint. Your group expects you to fit a certain image. However, you expect them to accept you for who you are. Your group lets you understand that being alone is abnormal, so you fear being left out. This constant internal conflict only wears you down, and if it persists over a long period of time, you'll start feeling signs of depression. Eventually, you develop the tendency to worry a lot, have low self-esteem, you constantly fight to become perfect, become very sensitive to personal criticism, or become self-critical and negative. Other personal issues can cause prolonged stress, which can lead to depression, like medical illness and coping with the loss of loved ones. Now, let's talk about the signs and symptoms of depression. Most people don't know if they are depressed or not. Diagnosing depression relies on the emotional and physical changes in each individual, with duration as an important indicator. Let me explain this in simple terms. If for more than 2 months, you have been sad and miserable most of the time, or you have lost interest in the activities you used to do, then you may be depressed. There are some typical behaviors that are portrayed by people suffering from depression. They include withdrawing from close family and friends, relying on alcohol and sedatives, not doing usual enjoyable activities, unable to concentrate, sleeping a lot. When you are depressed, you will always easily feel irritated, frustrated, lacking confidence, unhappy, and indecisive. Consequently, you start having negative thoughts like, I am a failure, it's my fault, nothing good ever happens to me, I am worthless, life is not worth living. The accumulation of all this negative energy poses a problem on your health after a while. People who experience chronic depression have also experienced a decline in their physical health. If you are one of them, you'll notice that you easily get tired, become constantly sick, and run down. You might also have frequent headaches and muscle pain. It is important to remember that depression is a curable situation. That is why LouChat is dedicated to providing you with listening therapy among other services, so you could talk to our counselors in confidentiality and without fear of judgment. Visit our social media platforms at LouChat Online and our website www.louchat.com. The fight against depression begins with you.